Welcome in to the Fun Astrology Podcast Medical Astrology Saturday edition. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Stephanie Vickers. And here by my lonesome today is Thomas is on a well-deserved break, seeing his brand new sweet granddaughter in Texas. In today's podcast, we're going to be continuing the discussion on the elements in medical astrology. I gave an introduction to them and how to figure out your dominant and least dominant elements in last week's podcast, so please go back and listen to that if you weren't able to catch it. Today, it's all about fire. What does it represent and what does it mean when it's in excess or deficiency? The fire element, also known as the Pitta dosha in Ayurveda and is called Qi in Chinese medicine, is the vital force and the release of energy. It is the metabolic and fuel-burning activities of the body that take place through activation of this element. Its action is hot, light, and dry. For excess and deficiency, here's a quick reference guide. So if you have 5 or more planets, including your ascendant in one element, then it is considered dominant. Having 6 or more in one element puts it in excess. If you only have 2 or less planets or points in one element, then it is considered to be your weak element. And if none or no planets or points in an element, then that is a true deficiency. So fire excess can show up in the body systems in the following multiple ways. There can be a proneness to dehydration, a strong hunger drive, hyperactivity, overheating, high blood pressure, insomnia, compulsive behaviors, inflammation, and a feeling of excess stress. The best antidote or way to counterbalance the fire excess is through the water element. So the opposite of the hot, light, and dry fire is the cold, heavy, and wet properties of water. So to counteract the previous issues mentioned, it would look like taking cool baths for overheating or high temperatures, lots of cool liquids to boost hydration levels in the body, and again, just bring that level of heat down. Eating cool, moist herbs and foods, again, to help accomplish that within the body. And looking into supplementing with liver-boosting herbs like milk thistle and burdock root. Listening to calm music and using the color green. That helps invoke a sense of groundedness and more calm. Things that should be avoided are excessive spicy foods or hot sauces, higher fat or oil content containing foods, and avoiding the hot summer sun, especially in the midday, as much as possible, and avoiding activities that flare up adrenaline in the body, so anything like high-intensity workouts. Activity is very important for the fire element, but it must be done in a more controlled way of expressions without a peak and a valley like there is in high-intensity workouts. So things like 10 minutes of a jog where you're going at one steady pace the whole time and not spiking up super fast with sprints or going really, really slow. You want to kind of keep a very steady pace. That way the heart stays at around the same range for the whole workout. It's called a steady state cardio. Or doing something like 20 minutes of resistance weightlifting, but in a circuit where you go from one machine to the next, and it's in a quite controlled stepwise fashion. And this just helps so the energy doesn't spiral out of control and that fire excess takes over even more with too much adrenaline in the body. Now, fire deficiency, on the other hand, looks very opposite and can show up in the body systems in the following ways. There's a proneness to listlessness or like a lethargy, a fatigue, kind of low-level energy. There's a weakness in the muscle. There can be excess body fat, poor digestion or digestive fire, low blood pressure, poor eyesight, poor self-esteem, and a tendency towards a flat or down mood. So the best way to boost fire deficiency is through adding in more of the fire element. We want to add fuel to that fire and help it grow. And also the air element, since air gives oxygen to fire to burn larger and brighter. So to boost overall energy levels, fatigue, and muscle weakness, want to make sure you're doing cardio, exercise daily, and that can be done through sprints. So in this case, we want to get the adrenaline going more. We want to kind of do those spikes with some sprinting and some jogging at different levels, and resistance training like lifting weights because you want to improve that muscle tone and strength. Dance and play therapy are fantastic to boost the mood and spirit. And then eating foods with stimulating spices, so things like cayenne, black pepper, cumin, and ginger. And then also very, very important to get enough protein, iron, and minerals in the daily diet as well. Also, using red colors, stones, or clothing can help boost overall vitality and feelings of wellness. And singing and playing musical instruments can also be a really effective way to improve overall mood and bring in more oxygen to the physical body. I hope this has been insightful, helpful, and illuminating with many practical tips to use if you're dealing with fire excess, deficiency, or just have strong fire in your chart and want to support it. Next week, we're going to go over the air elements, so please be sure to be here next Saturday to tune into that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to thank you for your continued listenership and support of the Fun Astrology Medical Astrology Podcast edition. See you all back here next week.